Hello and welcome everyone to Post Crisis Chat. I'm your wonderful co host, Cookie. And with me, as always, is the ever vibrant, ever humorous, ever wonderful. I could go on and on and on, but he's not paying me enough to do it. My co host.
Hi, this is Randy. You flattered me so. If you're a first time viewer, welcome. Please remember to like this video. And if you like our content, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification so you can be notified the next time we upload an episode.
If you're not a first time viewer, we want to welcome you back. And we want to thank you so much for, welcoming us back into your computers, we'll say.
For sure. And while you're here, please check out our socials. You can find us on Blue Sky and Patreon. Patrons get access to exclusive contents like you'll get to see how we messed up this intro. We're going to upload the original video to Patreon at some point in the future, and you can see how bad we messed up that intro.
Yes, and you get to see our not so suitable for work content where we bicker back and forth like an old married couple. It's
Yes,
wonderful. You'll enjoy it.
you really will. Please be advised today, too, we will be talking about 40-year-old spoilers in the issue we're discussing today. If you haven't read it at this point, though, I feel like that's kind of on you if you're watching this and you haven't read it. All right, so
I
today we're going to
always
be
blame the fans.
talking about Swamp Thing issue 24. This is written by Alan Moore, pencils by Stephen Bissette, inks by John Totleben. And if I pronounced anything wrong, please let me know. If we pronounce anything wrong through the video, please comment on it. Please troll our chat as much as you would like. We appreciate it.
I'm pretty sure you might have screwed up Alan Moore's name. I think it's Alan Murr, but I don't know for sure.
You better not joke. You're going to end up with a hex on you that will last the rest of your life.
Yeah, like my life can get any worse. What do I need? A bigger hemorrhoid?
All right. So first thing, I want to talk. Can you hold that cover up again, please?
Yes.
That cover is awful. It is terrible. I am deducting half a point for the cover alone. I hate that cover. It's so terrible.
It's I mean, it's a cool design, but it's just the execution I think they screwed up on terribly. I mean, I don't even know who Green Lantern is holding. I'm assuming that's Gypsy, but I'm not sure.
I think it's Zatanna.
You could be right. It could be Zatanna. Sometimes I get the two confused. I don't know why they're all so emotional because why is it that Swamp Thing fighting the Floronic Man with a chainsaw is making him that emotional? I don't get it.
Maybe they are really emotional about chainsaws. I really don't know, and I don't get it either. And like, who is Firestorm cheering for? He's got that fist pumping in
I
the air.
I have no idea. To me, I like looking at it. It kind of looks like some of them are drunk, some of them are emotional, and Firestorm is upset because he's betting on the loser right now.
That makes sense. All right, so we get a brief introduction to the Justice League and a quick recap of what Woodrow did in the previous issue. If you want to know all about that, check out our last video, issue 23 of Swamp Thing. The Justice League does mention encountering Woodrow before. You and I have talked about in past episodes. He was a Justice League villain prior.
Yeah, he's been around the DC for a little while. Like I said, I believe he made a debut in I think as the Floronic Man in like a Green Lantern issue or something like that. I had it written down at one point. I lost those notes ages and ages ago. You know, sometimes I don't keep things too well, but he's been around for a while, and I think up until this point, I kind of say I don't think anyone took him serious as a villain. I think it was Alan Moore that kind of gave him his cojones.
Hmm. Yeah, and he definitely, I mean, he killed off a bunch of people in that last issue. One of the things we see the Justice League talking, and I think my favorite line in this comic is Green Arrow sarcastically saying, "What should we do? Beat up the trees?" Like that made me laugh.
I always liked having Green Arrow on the team because he was kind of the I wouldn't like say the moral compass of the team, but he was kind of I guess he kind of kept them grounded in a sense, is what you would say.
Yeah. Green Arrow is also the one who points out that the Justice League was only watching out for the big cities, criticizes the League for not watching out for small time towns like the one in Louisiana that just had a house blow up and people die. Interesting commentary from him, from Alan Moore.
He kind of pointed out what I think a lot of us have been thinking for years is that why is it the Justice League is only there for global threats and never like, like local things? Like, who's going to get a cat out of a tree? Firemen?
Hmm.
Come on.
Yeah. And then we switch back to Woodrue and Swamp Thing staring each other down. This is like full page Woodrue and Swamp Thing. It is so poorly drawn. I mean, the drawing is just so bad.
Which I'm assuming you mean the splash page where it actually kind of gives like the credits of everything. Well, I think it just says like created by Bernie Wrightson and Lane Wynn and everything. But
It's what this is the one that's the full page with the red background.
that's what I was thinking of because I got it right here in front of me and I'm looking at it and it does it does look pretty bad. Like I remember reading it and I don't remember noticing exactly how bad this page was, but yeah, this is not a great splash page.
I think
Not
he
some of
was
his best
rushed. I
work, I
think it
would
goes
say.
back to what we were talking about, where he was just rushed and he didn't have time to finish the issue.
It really feels like it because the red background is kind of just a red blob. It doesn't like I'm assuming that's supposed to be
Very
fire, but
abstract.
I don't. Yeah, I don't get fire out of it. Woodrow looks stiff, and that's saying something for him being basically a tree.
And it's interesting because Woodrue is looking at Swamp Thing, having disbelief that Swamp Thing is alive because he thought Swamp Thing was dead. And then he suddenly realizes, "Oh, Swamp Thing, you've come to join me, right?"
That's I kind of like now if I ever go back and read this issue again, I'm gonna picture you doing that voice as Woodrow, like, oh, Swamp Thing, you come back to join me. Like
Right.
I
That
would
that
love to
must
see
be
him do
it.
that.
I mean, Woodrue. Swamp Thing is here to help Woodrue ascend to be master of the green. And he even offers to let Swamp Thing sacrifice this woman whose dog he has killed.
This is where you start to see exactly how unhinged Woodrow really is. And I mean, if the dialogue didn't give it alone, just that panel on that page that you're talking about, like it's the top right of the panel. Woodrow does not look good at all. It's not a good drawing.
Yeah. No, it's
It's
the
I
art
feel
on this is just it's all bad. I mean,
I mean, now in the beginning, the first 2 pages were pretty good because they do that thing that I love in 80s comics where they kinda, like, try to draw in the television screens, and so everything's, like, black and white, and you're seeing, like, what's happening. I've always loved that. I know, like, Miller did it in Dark Knight Returns. I think a few other, artists have done it. So that's a cool thing, and then it just you get into where it starts to go it declines, and you could tell he was rushed because this is not the man's best work at this point.
yeah. And then Swamp Thing just basically smacks, like backhands Woodrue out of the way. Woodrue says, "What? You're a traitor. You're not here to help me ascend."
I mean, he had to know it was coming. I would feel if you're part of the green, like you would I would imagine you'd be able to pick up the I don't want to say emotions because I don't know if plants have emotions or not, but whatever that is of, like how could he not know that Swamp Thing's coming basically to kick his butt?
Yeah. So as the fight heats up between the two, they seem to be paying no attention to the humans around them. Humans seem really concerned about two monsters fighting each other. How you got this old man, he says he's lived here his entire life, he's got roots here, and he's not going to run away. And then he says, "I'm going to go fetch Evangeline." Abby happens to be there and asks who Evangeline is, but the man is already running away too fast to answer.
I think I have an idea who Evangeline is, and I'm not just saying that because I've read the issue.
So then we have the Justice League struggling with how to fight plants. They consider contacting the Titans, Again, another reference to a shared universe. But they decided not to contact the Titans because they don't think the Titans will be able to communicate with the Green, as the Green is too alien. Flash mentions that Woodrow has lost every battle that he has fought with the Justice League. We can thank the Comics Code Authority for that, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's no way they were gonna let the villains win back then. Nowadays, thankfully, we can get some good villains kicking some butt.
Definitely. Then we switch back to Woodrow and Abby. Woodrow is trying to hurt Abby, and it's at that point that the old man shows up with Evangeline. He turns out to be a giant frickin' chainsaw. Absolutely love that.
And I like the look on Woodrow's face as he's kinda, like, turning his head like this, just kinda looking back like, "What's going on?" It's just it's
Yeah.
kinda got this, like, I mean, it's not well drawn, but it actually kinda works, like, for a page that's not great, but everything in it actually kinda pulls together really well.
Yeah, it does. And then we see Woodrow easily knocking the old man out. He mentions that the chainsaw has been canonized in many meat movies, in which the horror is the idea of the horror is what humans do to each other, they also do to the trees. In a direct horror movie reference, which I thought was really cool.
I love that. I mean, I'm a horror fan, so I love the fact that they kinda made that reference and they're bringing it in with the chainsaw and the scary monster and all that stuff. It's like it's kinda that's a cool effect. I did have to stop and puzzle for a second when he's like they basically do the same thing to people that they do to trees, and like my immediate thought was like, so they turn people into toilet paper.
So then when we pick back up, we see Woodrue is advancing on Abby with a chainsaw. She closes her eyes and he shouts timber. I thought that was just like perfect. That moment was just so pristine. It was exactly the right thing to say, the right thing to do. And in the meantime, you see the chainsaw being revved up through the use of letter R as the R gets bigger and darker as it goes along, as he's shouting timber. This is one place where art in the letters is doing a lot of work for the book.
Yeah, and the artwork. I mean, how much we've been kind of complaining about how rushed he can be and how bad it can be at times. It's not well drawn. When he's like holding the chainsaw up above his head, and it looks kind of fuzzy and blurry, and almost like he's getting basically devoured by the red because you start to see like red taking over the panels. It
Oh,
actually like very well like done like symbolism of like you're seeing him, he's part of the green, but then it's like all this red around him. It's
that's a
I don't
really
know if
good
like
point.
that.
Yeah, I hadn't picked up on that
Yeah, like
before, but you're right. I wish it was just drawn a little better, because if it were, that
I
would
do
be just perfect paneling.
I do too, but it actually kind of works a little bit like with how messy it is because it doesn't feel like the issue with the fight, everything about this whole thing doesn't feel clean anyways. So it being kind of a messy art style at this point, it kind of fits this particular story.
Swamp Thing does something to hurt Woodrew's arm. I really can't tell from the art because they really didn't show it, and the art is, as we've mentioned, kind of bad anyway.
I think he broke his arm.
Think what?
I think he broke his arm, I think is what happened.
Okay. Well, Swamp Thing tells Woodrue that he is hurting the Green, but Woodrue does not believe him. Then Swamp Thing points out that Woodrue is acting like a human by destroying all the human dwellings in town. Swamp Thing rightly points out the Green does not destroy the town, Woodrue did. Woodrue tries to tell Swamp Thing that the Green told him to destroy the town, and Swamp Thing says Woodrue is a poison on the Green. Woodrue doesn't believe that. Swamp Thing tells Woodrue that Woodrue knows that Woodrue is lying.
Part of me wants the classic superhero like beat down of taking the villain down, beating the crap out of him, stuff like that. But this book isn't a superhero book. It's basically a horror story kind of wrapped in like a moral, emotional drama kind of thing. And so it kind of actually gives you a satisfying ending in the way that Swamp Thing kind of beats him of like, yeah, if the Justice League would have come down, they would have beat the crap out of Woodrow and then put him back in jail. But
Right.
it's like Swamp Thing did much more. He emotionally breaks him.
And not only that, Swamp at that point, Swamp Thing or the Green or possibly a combination of the two actually cuts Woodrow off from the Green. Woodrow is just so upset by the situation that he can't even really comprehend that he no longer has access to the Green.
It's a much powerful, more powerful defeat because it's like you basically ripped out his heart and his soul because he thought he was the good guy. Which I mean, that's what makes a good villain, anyways. When a villain goes in thinking they're in the right, they're doing what is truly just. They don't see themselves as the villain. That's what makes a great villain, and that's what Moore did here with Woodrow. Was like he doesn't see himself as doing anything wrong. He's there to protect the green, to make sure that humanity isn't going to destroy the planet.
Very true. Then we see Swamp Thing and Abby share a hug. Perhaps this is a sign of things to come. Swamp Thing says he's going to go back to living in the swamp. Then we cut back to Woodrow running through the swamp. With his connection to the green severed, he seems to think he is a man again. He uses spray paint to try and make himself look like a flesh and blood man, and then tries to put on human clothes. The art here actually makes him, in my opinion, look very ugly. I think this is one of the times when the art actually does a really good job.
Yeah, it definitely does. Like he's not supposed to pass for human, and you can see that he doesn't. Like just looking at it, I mean, and that's where you can see the broken arm because when you see when the Justice League shows up and it's Superman and Green Lantern, he's got the one arm that's kind of like hanging, like limping off of. That's where you can see it was broken, and then between that and the clothes, that it just it is ugly, and it definitely represents what I guess you say like what Woodrow's become.
Right. And then Woodrow tries to convince the Justice League that he's a human, and Hal Jordan's like, WTF, Woodrow, you're obviously not a human.
Yeah, it's almost like if you don't read it, if you just look at the panels and you don't read anything that Moore wrote, you could almost like picture it being written as like Woodrow walking up to the Justice League and saying, "Hello, fellow humans. I also am human."
Right? At that point, the Justice League decides that the best place for Woodrow is going to be in Arkham Asylum. Foreshadowing, perhaps?
I mean, it's a comic book. It's everything's foreshadowing.
Then we switch back to Swamp Thing, being very happy and content back in the swamp. The last splash page shows Swamp Thing's arms out in joy with the red rising sun behind him. He looks very happy.
I believe that's like a very iconic image for Swamp Thing. Like I want to see a lot of reprints, like various things through Swamp Thing. They always use that specific panel because it's just for some reason it kind of stands out, and it that's kind of cool. It's almost Jesus like you just almost like expect him to just be kind of like you know Jesus
Not
for
the
plants.
Also not the last time Swamp Thing and Jesus are going to be connected together. But that's for much later down the line. We talked about it a lot. I was really unimpressed with the art in the story. I thought the art was really bad in a lot of places. It wasn't detailed enough. Some of the art was good, but I don't think really, except for that last scene, I don't think any of it was really great. That last scene was really great. It was. But the full page with Swamp Thing with his arms out in the sun, but the rest of it's I did not like it.
It was very rushed. You could tell, and luckily there's a few spaces throughout the book to me where the rushed artwork didn't hurt it. I mean, obviously the part with Woodrow trying to pass as human, even though he looked like basically just some ugly troll. And then I thought the part where the red was consuming him, I didn't even, to be honest, like I like to pull the curtain back here. I did not pick up on that until I had the book in front of me, looking at it, doing this episode. I started to look at it. I was like, the pieces fell together. I
Yeah,
was
no
like,
doubt.
oh, that's kind of cool.
I agree with you, and that was cool. Yeah, I don't want to rehash what I said, but I just wish it was drawn better. I like the background being red. I like how it was kind of sloppy, kind of not detailed, but I would have liked more detail, not just lines across the screen, across the panel. I don't know. I like I said,
I,
I don't want to
I
get I don't want to repeat myself.
no, I get it. I understand. You are a perfectionist. I mean, you have the benefit of every episode of this podcast, this web show. This has just been perfection from day one. We've never had to re-record anything. We've never had an hour and a half of preparation because things have been going horribly wrong. We've never had a hungry
No,
cat destroying my house.
no technical issues
So
at all.
yeah, no, it's you want perfection, the same thing you want in your comic book. So I get it. I understand.
This issue to me kind of felt like the end of an arc, like maybe Alan Moore's introduction is over. We've established the character, and maybe it's now time to move forward into the bigger series.
Kind of get that. Like it does kind of feel like this was the end of, like you said, the introduction. Like if you were going to, well, I mean, this is basically put in a in a trade paperback. But if you're going to do it like modern comics, where a trade is basically one like story arc, this would have been the story arc. Like the anatomy lesson itself would have been an entire story arc. Alec losing his humanity, coming to terms with being part of the Green. He's got to stop a psycho plant trying to basically take over the Green and take over the world. That's kind of his introduction arc. And I definitely got that out of this issue.
For sure. So I give this issue a 3 out of 5 Evangeline chainsaws. I would have probably rated it higher if the art had been better. And I did just deduct half a star for that cover because I thought that cover was just horrendous.
I will go 3.5. I will give it an extra half because of going back and flipping through it again. I loved the opening 2 pages. Like I said, that 80s style, bringing in the television screen. That's just always really cool to me. And then now discovering upon recording this, the whole red devouring Woodrow thing, that was actually really cool. Like I didn't even notice that the first time. And
It
a
was.
little secret behind like everyone might not know. The first time I read this, I was tired as heck and I was falling asleep. So going back and looking at it again, I picked stuff up.
Hey, a lot of Alan Moore's writing makes me fall asleep. Ooh, did I say that out loud? I'm kidding, kind of. Thank you, everybody, for joining
Making
us.
sure he's not going to kill me.
If you would like your own copy of the Swamp Thing trade paperback, check out our affiliate links down in the description. If you buy something off of Amazon through our link down below, it gives a little bit of money back to the channel and helps support us. It helps upgrade the quality of these. We get better microphones, better lighting, things of that nature. We put that all back into the podcast to help everything look better and sound better. You can also get the Absolute Edition of Swamp Thing. I'll link to that down below. You can get a box set of 6 trade paperbacks, which includes Alan Moore's complete saga of the Swamp Thing in a very nice looking box. So, also don't forget to check out our Patreon. Check out the Blue Sky where we will post when new episodes go up. What else you got, Cookie?
That's pretty much about it. I mean, I'm all for supporting the channel because maybe next time my microphone won't die halfway through the episode, and I got to bust out old trusty here to get me through the rest of the episode. And I would like to get a new camera so I don't look like crap on camera anymore. So yes, support us so I can actually live up to my beautiful potential.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. I hope you have a good night.